What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, and of course it is Thursday, so we get this week at Bungie today. And in the latest episode, as we lead towards Season 15, they're going to speak about exotic armor tuning that we'll see. There are a few different things they touch on, as well as changes to the traction mod, ammo armor mods, and Warmind Cell mods. Plus they give us a preview of some of the Season 15 mods that we're going to see. So we'll dive in and break it all down in this video, guys. As always, if you enjoy this one, be sure to get subscribed to the channel, as we've got a lot of Destiny content to cover over the next couple of weeks. But now let's get into it. And diving straight into the TWAB stuff for today, initially, Bungie talk about some changes to mods. And first up we have Traction. They say the Traction mod felt mandatory for PvP on controller and unnecessary on mouse and keyboard. Players have also felt that the maximum of 10 sensitivity wasn't enough on controller, and so we're making some changes to bring controller input closer to parity with keyboard and mouse. So they've added a sprint turn speed scaler option, and they've allowed values 0.3 to 0.8. They've also removed the Traction mod, and then added additional controller sensitivity options. 1 through 10 sensitivity is the same as before, but 11 through 20 increases over that. And they've added an ADS sensitivity modifier and allowed values from 0.5 to 1.5. So essentially, they're removing that Traction mod and allowing us to customize the turn speed much more via the game's settings. Let us know what you think about that. But next, they talk about super regenerating exotics. And they say the first set of changes coming in Season 15 have to do with exotics that refund super energy, and they point out that these exotics do tend to outshine other exotic choices. So there are a series of nerfs, but also reworks to some of the bonuses. So for Shards of Galanor, they say they've increased the amount of super granted for hits, but the total super regain is now capped at 50%. So they're essentially going to be more effective, but only up to 50% of the super bar. For the Ursa Furiosa, they say they've capped the amount of super energy you can regain once your super ends at 50%. And then for Skull of Dire Ahamkara, they've increased the amount of super refunded per kill, but the total super gain is capped at 50%. But also for Phoenix Protocol, they've capped the super energy regain once the super ends at 50%. And Storm Dancer's Brace will also refund up to 50% of your super energy after your super ends, based on the number of kills. So a pretty big adjustment across the board to those, but also for Geomag Stabilizers, they've removed the sprint to top off your super. And they say this part of the perk led to a higher uptime in PvP than was healthy, and gave attunement of Control Warlocks an immediately renewable supply of super energy for paying for mod costs like Special Finisher in PvE. So some pretty big changes to those exotics. Give us your thoughts below. And they say the next batch of changes is focused on injecting some more power and excitement into some less popular choices. So initially for the Hunter, for the Bombardiers, they say the bomb now has a secondary effect based on your subclass type: blind for arc, burn for solar, slow for stasis, and suppress for void. They do say that the suppression will not affect a Guardian in a super. Pretty interesting change though. For Graviton Forfeit, they've increased the bonus invisibility duration. The melee regeneration speed now increases based on the number of enemies near you, and while you're invisible, your recovery is greatly increased, and your weapons reload more quickly. We've also got Lucky Pants right here with a bunch of changes. They've added intrinsic hand cannon holster mod, replacing previous functionality with the following. And so when you ready a fully loaded hand cannon that deals kinetic damage, or damage matching your subclass energy type, for a short time each hit against a combatant from that hand cannon increases the damage of the next shot. And they point out that Hawkmoon won't be able to one-shot a raid boss using those legs, but other hand cannons will get a fun edge in combat. And they say, what is a hand cannon holster mod? Well, it's going to be a new kind of mod that reloads stowed weapons. More on that below. So we'll talk about that in just a second, but for Titans and Precious Scars, it says they'll now also create a burst of healing and bonus recovery around you whenever you kill an enemy with a weapon whose damage type matches your subclass type. So that's pretty cool, and also Icefall Mantle will see the slower class ability recharge scaler removed. But also there are changes for Warlocks, and for Verity's Brow, they've changed it to trigger when you get a weapon kill that matches your subclass energy type, and they've increased the grenade damage bonus to 20% per stack, up from 10%. For the Stag, it will grant damage reduction to allied guardians standing in your rifts, 25% against combatants, and 15% against players. That's pretty cool. But for Prometheum Spur, they've added the functionality that while standing in a rift, solar weapon kills give you class ability energy, and when your class ability energy is full, solar weapon kills consume that energy and spawn a combination of healing and empowering rifts at the target's location. So safe to say there are some pretty interesting changes to exotics, kind of a mixed bag of course, some nerfs but also some pretty beneficial changes to the lesser used exotics. Here though we have some details about mods, and for Ammo Finder, it says they now have an increased chance to spawn ammo and kills with primary weapons, and a further increased chance with exotic primaries. For Scavenger, multiple copies of Scavenger mods of the same type will no longer stack. And then they speak about Holster, that new mod, and they say it's a new type of leg armor mod that will gradually reload stowed weapons of the matching type over time. Multiple copies of Holster mods of the same type will increase the rate that ammo is reloaded. And it will affect the following weapons, so auto rifles, fusion rifles, grenade launchers, and that'll be those in the power slot, but also hand cannons, linear fusion rifles, machine guns, pulse rifles, scout rifles, shotguns, sidearms, submachine guns, sniper rifles, and trace rifles. They point out though that hand cannons will exclude Ariana's Vow, and rocket launchers, breech-loaded grenade launchers, and bows will not have holster mods, as they don't want it to affect any weapon that has a magazine size of 1. So that's interesting, but we do also have changes to Warmind Cells. So for base Warmind Cells, they say they've reduced the radius of the explosion effect range of Warmind Cells from 10 to 6 meters. They've also reduced the damage of the explosion of Warmind Cells, which was previously 2 to 400 and will now be 50 to 250. They've increased the mod cost of Global Reach to 3, but also reduced the amount of radius increase from 20 to 10 meters. And then for Cellular Suppression, they've reduced the duration of the suppressing effect when using them from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. We also have the Wrath of Rasputin though, and they've reduced the bonus solar damage, which was previously 100 to 200, but will now be 25 to 100. So safe to say some pretty big changes right there. But there are also going to be some changes to Elemental Wells. And so Elemental Armaments now has increased chance to spawn an Elemental Well based on the tier of the enemy defeated. And the Font of Might's base duration has been increased from 10 seconds. And they've increased the damage bonus provided from 10 to 25%. So quite a lot to chew on right there in terms of armor changes, but also adjustments to mods. As always, give us any thoughts you have down below. But next they speak about the Iron Banner, and we've got some new rewards coming next season. So right here they tease the Forger's Pledge Pulse Rifle, as well as the Peace Bond Sidearm. These are going to be added to the Iron Banner pool alongside the Reese Walker and Archon's Thunder. Each of them will be available through vendor packages, bounties, match rewards, and the seasonal Iron Banner quest. So those look pretty cool. On top of this though, they say it's been some time since Saladin brought a fresh set of armor to earn. So this is the Iron Forerunner set, and starting next season, they say they'll be introducing the Iron Lord's Pride intrinsic perk through the set, and wearing a piece of the armor will grant a small chance of an enhancement prism dropping at the end of an Iron Banner match. But also each additional piece worn will increase the chance, capping out at 4 pieces total. So there are going to be some reward bonuses with that new armor set as well. Let us know what you think down below. Finally though, they say next week we are going to get some details about weapons. So be sure to stay tuned right here, and I'll keep you posted when we get that info. But as always, give us any of your thoughts about the TWAB down below. Finishing up right here, just yesterday, Bungie shared a teaser for a series of the champion mods that we're going to see in Season 15. So it's worth mentioning initially, they followed up the first tweet by saying, "Oh, did we forget one?" They say the pen is mightier, but in this case we got overloaded. See you on August 24th. So these aren't absolutely all of the champion mods we're going to see, but obviously right there we have Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle. They do actually show 3 different unstoppable mods as well, so there's one for both linear and normal fusion rifles, pulse rifles, and sidearms. But additionally, we've got Overload for bows as well. And then as Bungie said, there is going to be at least one more champion mod, plus all of the artifact mods that we'll get for the new season too. And so let us know down below which weapons you're thinking about for when these mods become the focus. Of course, we can expect hopefully to see plenty of weapons in those archetypes when the season launches as well. Nonetheless, give us any thoughts that you have. And finally, Bungie help tweeted in relation to the As Prophesied quest and said, players who abandon the quest will now only be able to obtain it again in the quest archive moving forward. So if for some reason it wasn't accessible, or indeed you abandoned it, you'll need to go and check in with the quest archive to grab that quest once again. Definitely worth doing this week. We believe there is going to be a second part to the epilogue essentially on Tuesday's reset. Not sure if this will technically be required as a prerequisite, but worth getting done in the next week, and certainly before the end of the season if you want to check it out. For today though guys, if you have enjoyed the video, a rating down below really does help us out, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to click that button down below to get subscribed. And also you can turn on notifications if you want to be kept up to date with Destiny content as soon as it drops. As always, also give us any thoughts that you have from the TWAB down in the comments section. But for now, I appreciate you tuning in and hope that you guys have an awesome day.